Let's get it on. You got the Boston Celtics out of the Eastern Conference, my Golden State Warriors out of the Western Conference. This series will tip off on Thursday evening in Golden State at the Chase Center in San Francisco. In California, Golden State is a 3.5-point favorite in Game 1. I'll predict the games as they go throughout the series. But the thing for Golden State and Boston is this: their journeys to get to the finals have been drastically different. Golden State has only seen one Game 6, much less a Game 7. Boston has had two drag-out, hard-fought Game 7 or 7-game series against the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks in the second round, and then against the Miami Heat, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference in the Eastern Conference Finals. Jason Tatum, as I said earlier in the show, is a superstar. No question about it. He's in that group. He is easily a top 10 player in this league. No question. Jaylen Brown has solidified himself as a true number 2 guy on a championship team. He can give you 40, which he did in one of the games of the Eastern Conference Finals. He's got a decent handle, good three-point shot, can get to the basket, and a really good defensive player. You look at the guards that they have. Marcus Smart, yeah, all he did was win Defensive Player of the Year. Derek White, who I think is not that far behind as a defensive player, excellent. He learned that, with the San Antonio Spurs and has brought that over to Boston. You've got unbelievable, help down low, starting with Al Horford, going to Robert Williams, going to Daniel Tice, who comes in at times to sort of, fill in the minutes there. And then you got guys come off the bench, who could knock down the three. Grant Williams, Peyton Pritchard. So the thing about Boston is they have they can beat you in many different ways. That's the one thing that Miami couldn't do. That's why I would have been thrilled to play the Heat in the finals, because Miami can only really beat you one way. Boston's got a number of ways to do it. They can beat you with the 3-ball. They can beat you in an ugly game, which they had to do a lot against the Heat. There's many ways that they can win finals games. As for my Warriors, this is their 6th finals appearance in 8 years. When we say been there, done that, this is the epitome of that. Steph Curry, we know what he represents. The big narrative for Steph in these finals, of course, elephant in the room, does he finally win a finals MVP this year? Does he get his 4th ring? But does he finally get a finals MVP? Klay Thompson has had a brutal last 2 years of ACL rehab, and then even worse, Achilles rehab. Yet he has come back, and he's not been quite Klay before the injury, but he did just score 32 points in a closeout game. He has been excellent defensively, played great defensively against Luka in the Western Conference Finals. Draymond Green, I don't know what people are talking about saying he's fell off, but as Eminem said, you forgot about Dre. Don't forget about Draymond Green now. You're talking about the depth. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins have been massive as scorers. Wiggins as a number 1 primary defensive player against the other team's best wing. Kevon Looney has been invaluable. Has not missed a game this season. Is I think one of only like 5 or 6 players in the whole league to do that. Hasn't missed a game, obviously, in the playoffs as well. Offensive rebounding machine. Great interior presence. And the thing about Kevon Looney that he doesn't get enough credit for, really good perimeter defender for his size. He looks like he's kind of slow and clumsy. He can stay with dudes on the perimeter. He's shown that previously in the playoffs, and he's really done that this year against the likes in this past round, against the likes of Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic. So he can do that if they get a switch onto Tatum or onto Brown or onto Marcus Smart. So Kevon Looney gives you that. Honestly, I just talked about Otto Porter Jr. Does he play? What can he give you? Gary Payton looks like he's close to 100%. Having those guys in the lineup is huge. Moses Moody, I think, is going to be a factor as well with his ability to shoot the 3-ball. I think he's going to be more valuable in the long run in this series, not in the future, but in this series, over Jonathan Kuminga. I hear a lot of folks talking about Boston's size. I get that. I talk about their 3 bigs, Horford, Williams, and Tice. And I hear about people talk about Boston's defense, as they absolutely should. Boston, in the regular season, was number 1 in defensive efficiency, opponent points per game, opponent's field goal percentage, opponent's three-point percentage, and opponent's assists per game. First in every single category. Golden State was not far behind in those categories I just mentioned. Golden State was second, third. So they're not far behind. So the gap in defense, Boston's better, but the gap in defense in terms of efficiency, field goal percentage, points per game, all of that, assists per game, it's Boston and Golden State right there. So there isn't a massive gap on that end of the floor between these two teams. Boston obviously has the offensive threats. I already mentioned them. Golden State has more offensive threats, better offensive threats, if I'm being completely honest. They're a better three-point shooting team than the Boston Celtics are. Ime Udoka is an excellent head coach, but as I detailed earlier in the show, man, they've been bad in close games in the playoffs. Golden State has been outstanding in close games in these playoffs. You know, whether it's Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole closing out these games, they've done that. You know, Andrew Wiggins has played an even bigger role as the playoffs have gone on. Draymond Green can take your best defensive player in the biggest moments, the last 2 minutes of games. And something else, and this does matter, people roll their eyes at this, but you want to know how many games combined, every single player on the roster combined, the number of finals games that the Boston Celtics have played, like this Boston Celtics team has played. 0. For every single player on the Celtics roster, this is going to be the first finals game of their career. Golden State combined, the entire roster combined, has played 123 finals games. 123 to goose egg. That's the biggest gap in the finals since the Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz played in 1997. Of course, the Bulls went on to win that series in 6 games after the Steve Kerr game-winning shot. Well, Steve Kerr's part of this series as well. Steve Kerr has definitely been there and done that. He's been to double-digit NBA Finals in his career. So I think he's been to 11, 12, something like that. He's been around the block on this stage. It's not going to be too big for Steve Kerr, and I worry about late-game execution. I think we're going to see some close games in these finals. I absolutely think that. I think game 1, certainly I'm leaning the Warriors' way. Vegas is leaning the Warriors' way. I'll get into that more on Thursday. But when it is all said and done, the winner of the 2022 NBA Finals, and thus the 2022 NBA champion, will be my Golden State Warriors, and I think they do it quickly. I think this baby is over in 5. This is a third gentleman's sweep in these playoffs for Golden State. Midway through Game 7, I'm thinking, okay, this will be a 6, maybe even a 7-gamer. But Boston got tight in late in that Game 7 against Miami. Like, real tight. You cannot have how do you have a 13-point lead in the last 3 minutes and just freeze? I can't explain it. I'm not sure Boston can explain it. And so, with that complete lack of experience, the beauty of the Warriors and Celtics is everything Boston does, Golden State does better. And let's not bring this out of it. Boston's hungry. Let's not make any mistake about that. Boston's hungry. They've had to go through playoff trial after trial against, Toronto and Milwaukee and LeBron in Cleveland in 2018. They've seen it. Kevin Durant and Kyrie and James Harden last year. They've seen everything. They've been eliminated by seemingly everybody in the East. This is finally their moment, getting to the top, winning the Eastern Conference, finally getting to the finals with this core group. They're hungry. They ain't as hungry as the guys at Golden State. That I can guarantee you. Steph Curry, for a number of reasons: A, no Finals MVPs. B, he wants to prove that he can win after Kevin Durant leaves. I think that goes for all the Warriors players, but especially Steph. There's a really false narrative going around, and has gone around for a long time, that Steph isn't as good in the finals as he is in the regular season. That's not true. I'll give you the numbers on Thursday to back it up. But he's got higher points per game average in the finals than like Kareem, Bird, D. Wade. Steph shows up in the finals, and he's going to do that. He's going to show up once again. Klay Thompson he's been the hell and back with these injuries. He's been waiting on this moment for a very long time. The last time we saw Klay Thompson on a floor in the finals, he had just forced his way to go back out in the court, make 2 free throws after he tore his ACL. A lot has happened to Klay Thompson since then. He is ready for this moment. You saw how emotional he was when the Warriors won the Western Conference. he's going to show that same type of emotion and bring that same level of intensity on both ends as a great two-way player. Draymond Green, enough said. He's, as Draymond told y'all in November, a month into the season, he said, and I quote, "Don't let us win an effing championship." Okay, Draymond's hungry. Don't have to worry about that. Andrew Wiggins, who's, he's had to hear that, oh, you're not the number one pick, and you failed in Minnesota, and this and that, and this and that. And Andrew Wiggins is like, bro, I'm four wins away from putting the ring on my finger. Being a part of a championship culture, right? This is a hungry Warriors team. Kevon Looney's going to bring that intensity. And these young players are going to want to show up for the vets. And they're going to want to win a championship themselves. So, with that all said and done, the Warriors win the finals in 5 games, and thus, again, will be your 2022 NBA champions. This will be the Warriors' 7th title in franchise history, surpassing teams like the Chicago Bulls. And your finals MVP will be Wardell Stephen Curry II, winning finally, after he was robbed twice in 2015 and 2018, finally winning his first NBA Finals Most Valuable Player award and cementing himself as not just the best player on the planet, which I said he would be with a Finals MVP back in February. Go look at the tape. I said that. But also, unquestionably, a top 10 player of all time. One of the 10 greatest basketball players who ever did it. Steph Curry will be your Finals MVP, and the Warriors will be 2022 NBA champions after dethroning the Boston Celtics in 5 games. I think late game execution will be huge. I think, and that obviously favors the Warriors. And I think, listen, they clinched all 3 playoff series to this point at home. Like something else too. Golden State's undefeated at home. Boston really struggles at home. Well, I mean, what's their record? So they took the first 2 games against Brooklyn. They went 2-2 at home against Milwaukee, so 500 basketball. And they lost 2. So they went 1-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami. Boston isn't very good at home these playoffs. They're like playing like 500 basketball at home. Golden State's undefeated at home. And by the way, the Warriors have won a road game in 26 straight playoff series. That's unbelievable. 26 playoff series that the Warriors have won at least one road game. That's what you got to do to be a championship team. You got to win on the road. And that's the thing. Boston has to win on the road in order to win the series because Golden State has the home court. So the way I think it plays out, Golden State takes the first 2 at home. Boston takes game 3. Warriors go on, bounce back in game 4, win, and they close this baby out at the Chase Center in the Bay Area, and it'll be a fun celebration that night. That's what's going to happen. That's my finals prediction. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.